Welcome to AZ Cactus Tac. Today we've got another ultimate pistol assessment for you, and it is the Stealth Arms Platypus. Looking forward to sort of putting this pistol through its paces. Before we get started, just a couple of disclaimers. One is I am not a 2011 or a 1911 expert. I have a Staccato P in my collection. I thought that was going to be the only sort of 2011 that I have. I decided to pick this one up at my local gun shop. They mentioned that they had one come in and it looked like it hadn't been fired. Thought it was an opportunity to sort of get a pistol I've been hearing a lot about and sort of have it for a while and see what I thought. So I thought I'd share some of that with you. We'll put it through its paces today. And the other goal here is I am not a reviewer. I just sort of do this to help the average person just get a sense of what I thought about this particular pistol and to help them make a decision on it. And again, trying to be as unbiased as I possibly can and to be as objective as I possibly can. There's obviously, I'm not an influencer. There's been no exchange of any type of promotional item or anything like that. I bought and paid for this with my own hard-earned money. So that's what we'll do today. So before we get into that, we'll just sort of get a couple of things out of the way first. We'll sort of give you what is the ultimate pistol assessment, what are we going to be taking the firearm through, and that'll be right now. Okay, the ultimate pistol assessment sort of takes the pistol through sort of 9 areas, and I basically assign a score of 1 to 5. I do this to try to keep it as objective as I possibly can to help me think more objectively, and also just to give you sort of a good framework and how I was coming at it and sort of why I scored the way that I did. The first one, ergonomics. We'll basically look at the overall feel of the firearm. We'll look at the grip texture, controls, weight, ambidextrous capability, and things to that effect. We'll score that again, 1 to 5. Decimal point scoring is certainly a allowed. 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. We'll then take a look at trigger. We'll look at the reset, the break, the pull, the overall feel, mush, grittiness, any things like that. And again, this will be my own subjective assessment. And then we'll look at accuracy. Accuracy, I sort of have a hard time when I see people like, let's see if the pistol is accurate. When you hand fire a pistol, it's basically so much of the accuracy is it an accurate pistol? It's coming from your own skill set, how you're holding it, the type of trigger, how you're pulling the trigger. There's a lot of things that can impact accuracy unless we have a mechanical accuracy setup, which is taking the human element out. And I do not have that. So when I look at accuracy, what we'll do is we'll look at, we'll try to shoot a couple of rounds. We'll look at the groupings. We'll look at the tightness of that. And it'll be very subjective. And certainly I want you to think, I am not a expert marksmanship by any stretch of the imagination. We're just trying to put the pistol through its paces and sort of make a subjective call on, hey, it looks like accuracy is being met here, or it's a not. We'll then sort of look at recoil, and we'll say, and again, recoil, this is a perceived felt recoil from yours truly. We'll look to maybe try to do a bill drill, and we'll do that bill drill at some distances. We'll probably look to do it from maybe 3 yards and as well as maybe 15 yards, and just sort of get a sense of the overall recoil of the firearm. Quality, that'll basically look at overall quality issues, anything observed that I felt was a quality issue with the firearm, any customer service experience that I've had if I've had to send the firearm back in, and we'll make a score there. Reliability, again, any malfunctions observed during the assessment period, any malfunctions observed outside of that period while I've had the firearm in my ownership, and I'll certainly share that with you. Anything going down on the internet or in discussion group that I can find, I'll certainly share that, and we'll make, again, an overall reliability judgment and score there of 1 to a 5. Manual of operations, again, what are the overall assessment of how you work the firearm, any challenges. We'll look to do maybe a 1-round reload fire and just get a sort of a general feel of the overall manual of operations within the firearm. Wow factor is something that I like to look at. Looks, appeal, color, anything that's creating sort of a wow sensation around the firearm, and sort of give it a subjective score. Purely personal opinion on that. And then affordability, we look at value for the dollar. Affordability versus the market conditions that are out there, any competitive offerings that we can find, and again, just assign a subjective score of 1 to 5 for value for the dollar. We'll then add up all those points. There's sort of a total of 45 points. We'll get a percentage of the total of points they achieved to get an overall, what I call a hit factor on the assessment. And just again, give you, a general framework of how I took it through its paces, what I thought about each one, and have that discussion. And then, again, hopefully it helps with you in making a decision on whether you want to get this firearm or not. So that's the pistol assessment on the Stealth Arms Platypus. Okay, for the spec heads, we'll just cover off some specs. Again, this is coming from the internet. And this particular firearm here is what they call the crowd pleaser. It's one of their ready-to-ship firearm options. Generally, it's about a 20 to 24-week lead time. If you go with a more personalized approach, you can personalize this gun to no end. We'll talk about that later in the assessment. But again, you're looking at about a 20 to 24-week lead time. So that's a long time, almost a half year in some cases. And again, they do have some sort of pre-configured, which is this. I believe they call this the government. It's the 5-inch barrel. They have another model on the Commander, and I believe that's a shorter barrel. So this is the one with the longer barrel on it, and again, ready to go. I think it's called the Crowd Pleaser if you go on their website. As this is configured, it's around $1,700 retail. I think $1,725. Of course, the big thing that everyone likes about the Stealth Arms Platypus is that it does take Glock magazines. So that is something really unique that's out there. They were one of the first companies to go out there and take, another format, another standard, and be able to design this 2011 or this double stack they approach around that. So again, let's just cover off some of the specs, roll some B-roll while I'm doing that. It's got Novak style sights. It's got a rear dovetail cut that fits the Novak low mount and dovetail sights. I'll show you some more detail of that. The trigger is an aluminum trigger. The pull weight is 4 pounds. The weight on this firearm with a loaded magazine is between 36 and 42 ounces. This particular one might be a little bit more heavy because of the light and the optic that I've added on. The barrel is what they call match grade stainless steel. Again, it's a 5-inch government model. The Commander model is 4¼ inches, and they also have a threaded option too that they've added. The overall frame is out of aircraft grade aluminum. The slide is out of carbon steel, and again, ships with 2 magazines. 17 round is what I had in my bag when I bought it, and I actually only had 1 mag versus 2 when I bought it at the gun store. So those were the general specs that I found on it. And now let's go in and let's get into the assessment. We'll start with ergonomics. Okay, so I've had the Platypus for some time, and apologize for some of the wind here. We actually have a storm coming through the desert, or rather actually leaving. I've had it for some time. I've got about 700 rounds through it as of right now. And from an ergonomic standpoint, let's just start. The slide catch is great, has a nice feel to it. As most 2011s, it's not, I would say, really strong on ambidextrous capabilities, but I think that's just part of the platform standard. So you're not going to have a lot of that. But the overall slide stop is great. It's a fairly, I've got small hands. It's a fairly big grip. It feels pretty substantial, but not impossible for me to get my hand around. It actually feels really, really good. The grip safety, I think I have a couple of issues with this grip safety, but it's me personally. The one thing that I don't like is this safety. This safety is super small, and I don't know. For me, I guess the feedback is okay on it, but it's just super small. It's not very comfortable. And I actually like to ride my thumb on the grip safety. And I thought initially I was having some trigger issues because the trigger would just lock. And then I'm like, oh, maybe it's this grip safety. I started trying to pay a little more attention to that, getting a really good lockup on it. And again, what I think is happening is I put my thumb, I'm riding the safety, and that's ultimately weakening in here somewhat, which is, this grip safety is quite, a lot of it really comes out. It's pretty springy. So it's something I'm sort of working through now. On my Staccato, I've got about 2,000 rounds on it. I've only had the grip safety sort of get me once in terms of not being able to fire. So this one, I've had several issues. And I think it is grip safety versus trigger, although I haven't ruled out trigger 100%. I just really believe it's more of the grip safety and how I'm gripping this safety here. So the safety, I would say it also gives sort of an overall cheap feel to the firearm. If they just had it a little more substantial, I think it would be great. It's sort of a rough edge here. So again, not my favorite thing. The texture on this, I really like. I think it's a great texture. I don't like a heavy texture. I know a lot of you, like to have your hands bloodied after gripping the firearm. They actually have a new option called Prickle, which is just that. I tested it on a new pistol at the gun store. It was horrible for me, but I know a lot of you really like that. So you can choose different textures, but this texture right here for me is just fine. It's what came with it. I like it. It gives me plenty of a grip. The magwell, I think, is awesome too. Nice, soft, beveled. The one thing that's really nice is you've got enough room here to sort of grip your mag if that tap rack is not working for you. You're able to sort of get that mag in and out. So that's really nice that they sort of cut that. I thought that was a really good thought. The serrations here in the slide to me are plenty deep. Really good texture for you to grab it. Be able to pull it back, press check, whatever it is that you guys like to do with that. I don't think you'll have any issues. The overall slide here, I'm just pulling out the mag. Really nice feel overall. Just a little bit of looseness, but super tight. And you can tell that there's been some good quality there. Again, it's not a hand fit. From what I know, I think all of these are machined. But again, I don't think you're going to have any issue with this. It's a pretty tight lockup. It's super smooth. Really nice there. Going forward, some people may not like this. I know that there's in the standard like 1911s, you've got this bushing, you've got to, get the bushing off, and then you've got to unscrew this guide rod here, and then you can take the slide out and get access to the other part of the guide rod. A little bit of a pain in the ass in terms of cleaning. It's not like the toolless guide rod that you find on the Staccato P. But again, from and I haven't cleaned this yet, I'll need to do that. But from, what I've seen, it's not overly a big deal. It looks really simple to do. It's just, I guess you could say, maybe a little bit of a pain in the arse. The other thing that I have to say is I shot iron sights with this first for about a month. I thought the sights were really good. It's I think they've got a little like fiber optic right here that's picking up the light. That's really nice. When I took off the slide plate to mount this optic, I think they have one of the best optic mounting solutions that's out there. This optic, when you remove the rear plate, it's cut in for your optic, and so this seats in. They also have it milled so that when you screw in your optic, there's actually how it sort of fits, and I don't know if I'm going to describe this well, but there's like recesses that can take off some of that stress from these screws. I think it's a great system, and your optic sits really low, and then they give you this rear mount. So I don't know if I can show this, but they give you sort of a new rear sight when you mount the optic, and so you can co-witness. Because this optic is sitting so low, the co-witness is really awesome. So you don't have to get any weird sights on this thing. It's just really great. So I really like that from a ergonomic standpoint. Again, the overall pull here is really nice for me. And they have a full pick rail on this particular option. I think this is an option, but it's a full pick rail. So you've got plenty of room if you want to mount a big light on it. And so gives you that. So overall, a couple of lightning cuts in the slide. And overall, again, I think coming out of the box on one of these off-the-shelf sort of firearms, I don't think that you guys are going to complain overall about the ergonomics. I find it's actually above average from my point of view, except for the safeties. So on a score of 1 to 5, I'm going to give this a slightly above average here. I think it's about a 3. Maybe I'll go 3.25. I think, this is a solid above average in terms of the overall look, feel, balance, weight. Really, really nice. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the trigger. No complaints from me on the trigger. Let me just sort of get up close and personal with this and give you guys sort of the best that I can on the trigger here. So there's really no mush. You're right at the wall. I mean, like maybe a millimeter. And then you've got your brake. Really nice reset, super clean. You're back at the wall. So maybe a little bit of travel for the reset, not much. It's got such a clean, crisp break point here. I think you guys will really, really like it. I've got zero complaints with it. I'm going to grab the Staccato and just sort of give you guys a sense of maybe how this compares to that. And I think I even have my Oracle Arms Compact Pro. We'll take a look at all these triggers just to give you a sense on what you're getting with the Platypus. So 1 second. All right, so this is the Staccato here. I mean, I think they're almost exactly. I think the one thing where I'd give a little bit of an edge to the Platypus is their trigger is aluminum, and the trigger here, I believe, on the Staccato is polymer. That would be the only real difference that I can discern between the two. Sorry. So let's go back to the Platypus here. Again, all guns are safe and clear. Yeah, I'd say if not equal, maybe slightly better on Platypus. And again, that aluminum feel, it gives it just a little bit higher quality edge there. I'm going to grab the Oracle Compact Pro just to give another comparison. Okay, here's the Oracle Compact Pro. Again, safe and clear handgun. Again, like no mush. Nice reset. I mean, this is a great, I really like this trigger. This is, I think, the best quality on the Oracle Compact Pro is the trigger, but. Okay, now let me grab the Platypus here. I'd say there's a little bit more play on like the reset versus the Oracle Compact Pro here. But again, I'm not a trigger snob, so I'm trying to give you guys as much as I can. So if you are a trigger snob, you can maybe get something from this segment and you can sort of draw your own conclusions. I think the trigger on the Platypus is fantastic. It's right up there with the Staccato P, if I had, at least from my personal judgment. And I don't think anyone's going to be super disappointed in triggers. I'm going to give this thing a score of at least 4.25. Fantastic triggers. Okay, for our accuracy assessment, I've got some markers here at 3 yards and also 15 yards. We'll look to fire 5 rounds and see if we can get them in the A zone and some C zone, and we'll do a little scoring and just to give us a quick assessment on how tight we can get the groupings, how the trigger's working for us, how the recoil of the gun is sort of working, all of those working together to give us the best accuracy possible. So we'll start off here at about 3 yards, about 9 feet. Nothing like starting cold. Okay, here we go. Okay, so that was 5 shots. I can already tell from here, nice tight grouping, and we'll give you a quick look-see. You can see the grouping there, really tight. I got to tell you, yeah, we'll talk about recoil in just a bit, but overall, the trigger working together with the recoil, the size of the gun at 5 inches, really easy shooting gun. I think, again, everyone's going to like it. We'll back it up. We'll try it at 15 yards and see how we do there. All right, I'm going to try it again here. We're at 15 yards. And again, we'll try to put 5, try to get them in the A zone there. All right, let's walk down and take a look. Okay, not too bad. Of course, it opened up on me. We got 5 shots. I did reshoot that, from before because I forgot to turn on the other camera to give you guys a visual of seeing if I was hitting the mark. Okay, so for accuracy, I think, again, no question that the gun's accurate. I mean, the bullets are going where I'm definitely aiming. I think everything in the gun is working together to make me a better shooter, to be honest. So from that standpoint, I think it's above average, and I think it's working together. I think these are pretty good at both. We did it at 3 yards and at 15 yards, so roughly 9, 10 feet, 45 feet. Pretty solid. I'm going to give it a score of 4 for accuracy. Okay, let's do a quick assessment on recoil management. We'll do a build drill. We'll call it 6 shots. We'll do it at 3 yards and also 15 yards. Goal will be to try to get into that A zone as close as we can with that type of rapid fire, okay? All right, let's see how we did. Okay, so everything got in the A zone. Again, pretty short distance. Maybe my grip needs to tighten up a little bit. But all in all, fairly good grouping there. Around here is probably where I did a little bit better, sort of 3-1 there. But all in all, I felt really good with the gun. It seems to return to 0 a little bit at the 15-yard mark. I'm going to pay closer attention to that red dot and how it's sort of dropping in and seeing how it sort of returns to 0. Yeah, I may slow up just a bit. At 15 yards, it's like, wow, I don't know how this is going to work for me. I may slow up just a bit because I really want to see how that red dot's like dropping, but still try to maintain a pretty good clip. So let's see how we do. Build drill here, recoil management. All right, let's go down and take a look. Not as good. I think I'm going to reshoot that and see if I can do better. Definitely was getting a little bit low here, and can probably do a lot better than that. I got 3 in the A zone, 3 out of the A zone, but I want to shoot it again, see if I can get a little bit better. But that dot was really coming back nicely, so the gun really has a nice return coming back down. So I think for those of you that are good quality shooters, you're not going to have any issues. Okay, we'll try it again. See if I can do a little bit better here. Okay, so let's see. Definitely through 1. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe I don't know. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe I only fired 5. If I fired 6, maybe I put one just right up above that. I'm not sure, but I may have only fired 5 there. But uh, touching the line on the ace on, I'm going to give myself that, and then definitely threw one there. But all in all, pretty good for, again, my level. You have to take that into account. But the recoil management on this is solid. Okay, so from a general assessment on recoil management, I think certainly the gun is performing well. I think it performs above average from my experience. It's that nice 5-inch barrel. The trigger is certainly great, which definitely helps. And that dot has a nice return to zero on it, coming back down. Again, if I had, I definitely need to train a little bit more on this thing to get that speed up and maintain the accuracy. But just out here, just going through with a little more methodical build drill, not necessarily like the rapid fire stuff at 15 yards. Still getting most of these where I want them. So all in all, from a score between 1 to 5, I think you guys are really going to like the recoil on this thing. I don't think there's any complaints. I'm going to give it a 4. Okay, so we do need to talk a little bit about quality. This just happened where I think part of this bushing actually just fell out. So let me sort of get seated here and I'll show you guys. So again, I'm at about 800 rounds. So evidently this thing walked itself out. And I think it's part of that bushing or not bushing, but part of the guide rod that you unscrew. So somehow that walked itself out. Need to take a look at that. All right, let's talk quality. Again, firearm's still safe and clear. Overall quality, you saw just a little bit that this guide rod right here had walked itself out. I got a hex wrench and just sort of tightened it back up. Is that a quality issue? I guess possibly. Again, I bought this pistol used, so I don't know. No one thought that any rounds went through it when I bought it, but potentially the guy took it apart, wanted to check it out. Maybe he did put a couple of magazines through it, wanted to do the mother of all cleans on it, took the guide rod out to get the slide off and everything else, and maybe he just didn't tighten it up tight enough. Again, about over 700 rounds before the thing fully walked out. I was actually looking at some earlier footage, and when I was showing you guys the ergonomics, you could certainly see that guide rod was sticking out. I just didn't see it. So I'm not going to knock it on that. It'd be great if any of you have had this issue, if you could put it in the comments just to share with the community. But overall, I think the quality is pretty solid here. I think it meets expectations for what you'd have at an $1,800 pistol. From everything that I can see, nothing's fallen apart except for that. But I think, again, that could be explained away. I don't know the full history. I haven't had it since I pulled it out of the box. So I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt from there. All in all, I don't think, based on what I've seen, that there's any fundamental quality issues with this pistol in terms of its operation, in terms of its functionality, in terms of anything else. So all in all, I think it's a well-machined pistol. Things are put together well. They seem pretty solid. And again, I think you guys will be pretty happy with the overall quality based on everything that I've seen. Given the guide rod walking itself out, appreciate it if anyone can share if that's happened to them. But other than that, I want to give it a score of 2.5. Okay, reliability. Haven't really observed any type of malfunctions or anything like that. Pistol's been operating well. Or I should say, the only malfunctions that I saw were probably within the first 100 rounds. I did have 2 light primer strikes. Those could be attributed to ammo versus anything related directly to the pistol. Maybe it's a break-in issue with the firing pin. Not familiar with the 1911 platform enough to say if that's even possible, but potentially could be. But other than that, haven't had any malfunctions, stovepipes, failure to feeds, anything along those lines. So it's worked flawlessly outside of those 2 sort of, light primer strikes. More reliability issues are related more to the operational issues, which I think are sort of directly related to the ergonomics, at least in my operation with the pistol. So for example, we've got a safe and clear firearm here. When I'm inserting the magazine, my hand will sometimes hit the back of this mag well, and that will cause me not to seat the magazine properly. Again, I think, that could be, I don't shoot Glock. That could be someone just knowing how to put a Glock magazine in. I think training could certainly alleviate that, and just getting more familiar with how the pistol works. And also just getting a longer mag that has more capacity to bring it down towards the bottom here. If I have like a 20 round mag, that would extend beyond this mag well, wouldn't have any issues. So from that standpoint, that can be easily fixed through a variety of different means. The other issue that I still am having is with the trigger and what I think is the grip safety, locking the trigger. That's something that I think is directly related to this grip safety the more that I use it, and I'll show the comparison with the Staccato in just a second. But I think that is something that, combined with the safety and how small that safety is causing an issue for me. So an operational reliability, yes, more associated with ergonomics, which means we really need to reevaluate maybe that ergonomic score a little bit differently the more that I work with this pistol through the assessment phases. But again, that may not apply to use. Okay, I want to share with you sort of the grip safety and the issues that I think I'm having with it. So here we've got the Platypus, and here we've got the Staccato, and I've got the sun. I apologize for the shadows sort of coming in, but I'm going to try just to put these on top of each other here, and see if you can sort of see what I'm seeing. And the Staccato's grip safety seems to go down lower than the Platypus. Let me see if I can just get some better light on it here. Line it up as much as I possibly can. It definitely seems to be a longer grip safety, and when I look at the overall how far, here's the Platypus here and how far this sticks out versus how far this sticks out, there's definitely not as much sticking out up in here as there is there. So I think when I grab this Platypus and I come in and I'm riding this safety and I'm pushing down on it and then I'm pulling the trigger, I think it's creating a little bit of like a leverage point, being that the safety sticks out, pretty far. It's just, enough for me as I'm using and operating this pistol under recoil or whatnot to again freeze this trigger. I think I'm coming off of this more than what I should. So that can be, again, I've got smaller hands, and the grip safety, the way that this is engineered, not as long and a little bit shorter than what the Staccato is, sticks out a little bit more here, and you can see the Staccato right here. So when I come in and I've got the safety, that safety is definitely wider, gives me a better base in which to grip on, and keep, being that it's longer, I can keep the pressure in. And again, after about 2,000 rounds, I've only had this grip safety bite me once. This thing bites me pretty frequently, and I only mention this because I don't think the majority of you are going to have maybe the same issues that I'm having, barring that there's not something up with the trigger or trigger spring. So that's a possibility, but I think more than likely it's this grip safety here. And if you've got bigger hands, or you don't ride their safety like I do, I don't think you're going to have an issue. Really don't. So I only mention that because I think it's an ergonomic issue that others may have, like me. And that's why I just wanted to share it. And, if you have any comments or any perspectives, feel free to share that in the comments below. So to be fair, I think that the ergonomics meet, or rather the reliability meets expectations. I'm going to give it a score of 2.5. Pistol of this price point, haven't really observed anything that couldn't be addressed through other means or that might be directly related to my operational capacity with it. So I think it's a very reliable pistol. I don't think you're going to have any issues on that front. Manual of operations, a assessment. Generally just fire a round, reload, fire another round. See sort of how we feel through that. So let's sort of see how we do with that. I had to break my grip on that, and definitely sort of pinched my hand a little bit on the safety. Again, not a big fan of that safety. I may go back and revise the ergonomic score down just a little bit, but I did have to break my hand. Now, I've got small hands, so I had to break grip on it to get the mag out. So that mag release is, pretty far out there. You can see here. So let's try it again. Okay, let's try it this time, trying to use the slide release versus pulling the slide back. Great. Slide release had a good tactile sensation. Was easy to find. So pretty good on that. All right, so I didn't find anything majorly wrong except maybe, aside from the safety issue, which I think is more of an ergonomic issue. The grip was a little large, had to break grip on it. But again, that's me, that's personal. I think, again, average manual of ops, I'm going to give it a 2.5, which is average. I don't think anyone's going to have any complaints over the overall how you operate the pistol, how it works. And again, with more training on this, I think I could definitely improve and sort of begin focusing on my times and getting it down. One thing I have noticed is that I have had a little bit of issue getting these Glock mags to seat. I'm not a Glock shooter, so it might just be me. But if you guys are getting this, just keep in mind that, I don't know if it's a break-in or what, but getting that Glock mag to seat, I've had a little bit of challenge with that. So just something to be aware of. But again, that could totally be me and no one else. Okay, wow factor. The wow factor on this pistol I think is pretty high. When Stealth Arms was thinking about how can we make something different for the market, how can we break in to the 2011 market with something that's differentiated from, say, the Staccato. Let's take the most ubiquitous magazine that's out on the market, being the Glock magazine, and let's figure out how to do a 2011 platform around that. And that, I think anyone would agree that's pretty innovative. That is pretty cool. Makes a lot of business sense. And again, from what I've seen, if I seat the magazine properly, the Glock magazines work great. I don't think anyone's not going to enjoy that particular facet. And there's a tremendous amount of Glock shooters out there. You already have the magazines for a Staccato. I'm dropping, anywhere from $60 to $100 on a magazine. It really adds up. So I don't have a whole lot of Staccato mags. So everyone's got some Glock mags probably hanging around their house, and you can use it without any problem. The other wow factor here that some people talk about, but I really think is the ultimate wow factor, and I think that is the customization that you can order this pistol with. It is unbelievable. It is the most innovative, I think, out on the marketplace on how you can customize this pistol to your own personal liking. So I'm going to run a quick separate video here for you to see where I take you through their personalization website. Okay, I just wanted to share with all of you, in terms of the wow factor, to me, I think this is the ultimate wow. This is the interface for designing your own Platypus. And I don't think there's anyone else in the industry giving you this level of personalization of your firearm. It's definitely mass customization for a customer of one. So you go to this interface, it's on their website. You've got this 3D model of a Stealth Arms Platypus. So as you begin to customize it, you can begin to see some of the changes that are taking place. So again, over on the right side is basically your customization menu. You can see that they're probably going to add other types of calibers here. They just added the Commander. So you can, which is a shorter barrel, 4 1/4. Here's the government. And this is pretty much the base model, the $1,725 model that I actually have for the Platypus and what I did the assessment on. So Again, you can come in and look at the style. Basically, the standard doesn't have that pick rail dust cover. Got this the tactical, so you can begin to customize this if you want more of a rounded trigger well or guard versus a square. Again, the dust cover, full length and standard. There we go. Yeah. And then here's where it gets really cool. So the frame color, if you want to, begin to customize that, you basically select a color. They've got some profiles of different types of Cerakote. So I think, again, a lot of this is sort of Cerakoted. Let's just say we wanted to go with, I don't know, some sort of a midnight blue. And so now it highlights for you what has changed. Okay. And you can keep going, the platypus engraving. Sometimes not all these colors are going to work. Yeah, see, it'll tell you the following parts have backfill colors that don't work with the base color. So, again, some of this stuff may not work. They'll definitely tell you what works, what sort of doesn't work. So you can take it from there. And you can just keep going on. And again, I think that some of this stuff is actually really, really cool to really give you completely personalized experience on your firearm. Pretty great. So again, here you've got your grip style. If you wanted some finger grooves, the prickle is that texture that I was talking about, the kind that makes you bleed. Not a big fan of that, but I know some of you are. So again, if you don't want a funnel, you don't have to have one. If you do, that's what it looks like. You can customize the mag funnel color here if you want that. And again, I won't go through the whole thing here, but this is just giving you a sense of what you can do, to really begin to sort of customize your own look. And you can, really get a view from every single angle, what this is going to look like and get it, the way that you want it. And you can begin to place your order. So anyway, I just wanted to share with you what I think is really the coolest wow factor thing for the Stealth Arms Platypus. Again, I don't see anyone else doing this, and I think it gives you total control over how you want to personalize it for you. So anyway, hope you enjoy this. Okay, so after watching that, I think everyone can agree that, if you want to personalize and customize a pistol, I don't think there's a better solution that's out there on the marketplace. I will say, just be careful. If you think you may ever want to sell this pistol or anything like that, your tastes could be very different from the majority of other people's tastes. So if you think you may want to resell it, I would go with just the standard offering on the market there in terms of the crowd pleaser and get it in solid black. I don't think you're going to have any trouble being able to move it. So wow factor from that customization, I'm going to give it an overall wow factor of 4.5. It's truly an innovative offering, one of the few that's come out in the last couple of years. For those two reasons, Glock mags and the customization. So 4.5. Okay, let's talk affordability. Again, I think affordability is another sweet spot for the pistol. I think value for the dollar, it's going to be pretty hard to meet. I think at the price point of $1,800, you are getting a lot of value for your money at that point. 1911s can be very expensive. I know personally from a staccato, I sort of went all out on that. I spent a hefty penny for that. That was my 2011 that I thought, this is going to be the one in the collection. So I'm going to go, crazy on that one. But as I've learned, you can go much higher than a staccato. Staccato is sort of a mid-tier offering, and, getting up into the $8,000 to $10,000 range, even in some cases even higher. You can do it in this category of pistol. So at $1,800 to get everything that you get at the quality that you're able to get it at, and with the option of customization that you have, I think it's a tremendous value, and it uses Glock magazines the value right there, just in terms of the magazine cost savings that you have, is amazing. I mean, I bought, it came with one mag. I think it's supposed to come with two. Mine only came with one. I went out, ordered two Glock mags. I mean, they were dirt cheap. So from that standpoint, you're going to save money right off the bat. So the other thing is that when you do personalize this particular platform, you will get up to about $2,500 pretty quickly. So just keep that in mind. That's sort of the entry level pricing for a Staccato P. And again, Staccato P will top out around $5,000 with all the bills and whistles that you add onto that. So just to give you some pricing range. But yeah, if you're looking for good value for your dollar, you really want a 2011, 1911 pistol. I think this just brings some tremendous capabilities. It has a great value for the dollar offering. And from that sense, I'm going to give it a score of 4 for affordability. I think it's just a great offering at a great price point. Okay, so for the ultimate pistol assessment, let's go through the scores, sort of top to bottom here. Ergonomics, I've talked a little bit through this assessment that we need to go back and take a look at that. I initially gave it a score of 3.25. I'm going to lower that because, the safety pinched me several times as I was going through trying to assess the manual of operations. The grip safety issues that I've experienced with it, or what I think are the grip safety issues, and causing trigger lock, as well as maybe that mag well might be interfering with my ability to load one of the Glock mags. I just think the ergonomics not quite as high. I still think overall the ergonomics are great. Okay, so don't get me wrong. I think they're above average. But I'm going to reduce that score from 3.25 to 2.75. I think that's a fair score. It's still above average. But as I've experienced it more out here going through this assessment and having the issues that I have, some of you may have those same issues. Some of you may not have any issues and think I'm completely, nuts, which is fine. But I'm going to reduce that to 2.75. Still a great score, above average. Trigger, as we've seen, and hopefully I've shared enough information and trigger stuff with you for you to help you make your own gauge. I'm not a trigger snob. Most triggers I'm perfectly fine with. But I felt the trigger on this was as good as a Staccato. It's an aluminum trigger, even compared to the Oracle Arms, which I think is a phenomenal trigger. This thing stacks up, man. It's a great trigger, so I gave it a score of 4.25. Accuracy and recoil, I think, again, the length of the pistol, the weight of the pistol, and how all of that's working together along with the skill of the shooter. It's a perfectly accurate gun. There's no issues with the mechanical accuracy from what I can tell. I think it's going to help make you a better shooter, to be honest, based on the trigger and the recoil and the weight of it and everything else. So accuracy, I think, is a 4. Recoil, same thing. Everything's coming together to work well. That sight returns to 0, really nice on it. I think you guys will really like it, so I gave it a score of 4 there. Reliability and quality, I think it meets expectations on both fronts. I talked a little bit about the reliability and some of the operational reliability, which I think at the end of the day are ergonomics more than a reliability issue. So, again, I've adjusted score there, but in reliability, I gave it a score of 2.5 and 2.5 for quality. Meets expectations at that price point. And again, I never saw any major issues stand out. Manual of operations, again, I think it meets expectations. Being able to do some mag changes, some reloads and stuff like that. The issues that I'm having was really with the Glock mag coming into the mag well. I've had some issues there. That could be a training issue on my part, or just simply get a Glock mag that holds 20 and problem solved. So manual of ops, again, meets expectations, 2.5. Wow factor, again, they're using Glock mags, having that level of customization. I don't think there's a more innovative, interesting pistol that's out on the market right now. I think Stealth Arms has done a phenomenal job at creating a strong wow factor here, so I gave it a score of 4.5. And for affordability, again, value for the dollar, I think it's a very strong offering. I don't think you can go wrong. Again, at that $1,800 price point that I pulled right off the shelf, the crowd pleaser is sort of the option that I'm sharing with you here to a day. Really a good value, and I think it's above average from what else I've seen, so I gave it a score of 4. So overall, out of 45 possible points, it totals up to about 31 for a hit factor of 68%. Well above average pistol. Overall, that's the assessment. And just by and large, I think anyone looking at this pistol, I don't think you're going to be disappointed once you get one and once you start using it. Again, there's some little quirks that I have. Some of you may have those, some of you may not have those. If you have any quirks, please share them. If you are a current user, share them in the comments. So by and large, I think everyone will be happy. You know, I know the question will come, staccato P or Platypus. Honestly, if your heart's set on a staccato P, go get that. I don't think you're not going to go wrong. But if you're looking at something where you want a good value offering and you want a good solid 2011, 1911 for the collection, the Platypus is definitely there. It hits on all of the marks. Again, I think you'll be really satisfied with it. So overall, that's the pistol assessment, or the ultimate pistol assessment for the Stealth Arms Platypus. Thank you for watching.